There was a family who lived in the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia. And, they were just a normal, average, everyday family. And they had this young son named James. Now, James loved to play outside, but they started to notice he was going out behind the house in the woods, spending a lot of time, alone in this area back behind their house. And, they often wondered what was James doing while he was going out in the woods. Well, James started to come home from the woods at night, and he would have these scratches on him and bruises and bite marks. And so his mother became very alarmed. And she sits down with James one night and says, James, like, what is going on? Why are you coming back with these bruises and these, scratches and stuff? And he goes, Mommy, I am playing with the people in the woods. And she goes, what people in the woods? And he goes, the people that are out there in the woods. They play with me. And sometimes they get mad and they get angry. And so the mother tells the father, what's going on. And the father grabs his three brothers and they go out into the woods trying to figure out who these people are living in the woods. So they go out in the woods and they're searching. They don't find anything. And they start to think maybe it's just a young boy's imagination and, he's just falling and stuff. And that's how he's getting these bruises and whatnot. So one night, James's mother is awake and can't sleep. She decides to go and check on all the kids. She walks past James' room and she notices that he's not in his bed and his window is open. So she runs and wakes up her husband and tells him, James has left. He's not in the house. He's went out the window. So James's dad jumps up and gets up and he goes into the woods and he's calling, James, James. And finally his dad, hears James calling his name back and he finds James and he says, come on, James, what are you doing out in the middle of the woods? And he said, I'm with the people. I'm with the people. And he goes, come on, we're going back home. And he said, Daddy, they don't like you taking me away. And that's when the father, right, he looks around and he can see there are several people standing in the woods. And so he grabs James and picks him up and they just start running back to the house as fast as he can. And he gets inside and he locks the doors. Well, he tells James, you are not to go out in the woods anymore. You have to stay, in the house. And at nighttime, we're locking the doors and the windows. And, he was terrified. So several weeks pass, and they keep James from going into the woods and nothing happens until one night they see, the father sees that one of the windows in the house has been left open. And so the father runs, and thinks, oh, James, has just snuck out again and went back into the woods. So he runs into James's room and it's like, James, are you okay? And he goes, yes, I'm fine, Daddy. And he goes, oh, I thought you went out the window. And James goes, no, I opened the window for the people so they could come into the house. And the dad just had this bewildered look on his face that, what, did someone get into the house? So the father, starts staying awake every night, wondering if something had gotten inside the home. And sure enough, one night, he's sitting in the living room and he sees a man walk by him and go to the window and go out of the window. So he, jumps up, grabs his rifle, runs out the door and says, leave my son alone, leave my son alone. And he's chasing after this man. But that's when he gets a better look and he realizes this man does not have any head. And the man just sort of runs into a tree and vanishes. So the father, at this point is just totally terrified and he runs back to the house and gets inside. And so he goes and nails shut all of the windows and, boards up all the doors and says, we are only leaving through the front door and everyone has to be in at night. No one's going outside. The next night, they see James and he's standing next to the window in the living room, even though it's boarded up and it's nailed shut. And he's saying, I can't let you in. I don't know how to. I can't let you in. And the father's like, James, who are you talking to? And he said, the people out there, they want me to let them in. They want me to let them in. And so, he grabs James and he says, look, these people aren't your friends. They are bad people. And the only way they can come in is if you let them in through the window. So we have to keep the windows closed at night. We have to keep them boarded up because otherwise they will come inside.